So
we are live, I think. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our Tango Roundtable. I'm hoping this goes live because it says we are live, but I don't see anyone on. Shit.
Do I have to go to your profile to see the live?
No, it should be going live. Oh, I see. Are you watching it live now?
No, I just see the event. So
One
I have to go
person
to
is okay. People are watching, so I think it's happening now.
Hey.
All right, Bat is confirmed that we are live. Thank you so much, Bat, for the tech support. So hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Tango Roundtable. I'm so grateful that everyone is continuing to support this and enjoying this. We get so much amazing feedback. Every time we do this with our unique topics. So thank you so much for everyone watching. If you're watching right now, hi Anthea, send us a note, say hello, say where you're from. We'd love to know where you're watching from. And we'd love to see, maybe if you're a mom, say hello if you're a mom as well, because I know so many moms contacted me and said they were super excited about this topic. I'm sure everyone has a lot to say on this as well. Hey Meredith, how are you? So the first thing that I'm going to be doing,
Meredith, hello.
The first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take a moment to have all these amazing panelists introduce themselves and give a quick hello. And we're going to start with Mila, since she's right next to me. So let's start with Mila.
Hello, so I'm Mila. I'm from Moscow, Russia. I used to live in Moscow and I was teaching there, having my tango school, inviting partners from Argentina and from Europe until in 2013 I had my son with the Italian guy, and it kind of went unplanned, and everything went against my plans in the sense that, when I was about to have a kid and when I was pregnant, I was thinking that I would stay in Moscow and continue doing the things I was doing. But then when he was born, I had the sad news that he had some health complications. Basically, it's for life. It has to be managed. And all the doctors kind of pushed me to move to Italy, and I did. Then, of course, it didn't go well with the father because we are so different here. And tango, me being a tango dancer and working in tango for him was kind of unsupportable. So after several months, we separated. I went through like a very painful, little bit horror story of being in the courts and in a fight and the risk of losing my son and losing custody. But I managed to survive and to be with my son. So now I'm not a single parent, but a parent who shares custody with another parent, which in some cases is easier, in some cases is harder. I'm bound to live in Salerno, which is a very small provincial town, but on the nice location on the sea. I have a beach right here in front of the house. And, it has some advantages to it. I continue to work in tango. I have to travel for my work because here it's not much to do. Well, that's about probably what I have to say for now. Yeah, more coming later.
Yeah, much more coming later. Thank you, Mila, so much for sharing.
My son is 7 years old now. Yeah.
Okay. Ah, nice. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And you're right, there's so many different dynamics that I'm looking forward to everyone weighing in on how their particular family structure and dynamic is unique as it relates to tango. So next, I'd love to hear from Dani.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Daniela Pucci, originally from Brazil, now living in Buenos Aires after a 14-year stint in the US. So I guess I'm a little bit from everywhere at this point. I used to be a professor in engineering at MIT. At the time I came to Buenos Aires on vacation, I met Luis, my partner, ended up taking him to the US, becoming full-time tango dancer. And now I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I've kind of made my way back to the dark side. I'm a tango dancer / finance person. That's it.
Thank you so much, Danny. Let's have Masha go next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Masha. I'm originally also from Russia, not from Moscow, from a smaller town. And I live in Washington, D.C. right now. And I've spent the last 7 or so years being the executive director of a Tango nonprofit here in D.C. in a Tango school. And then most recently, me and 2 of my trusty partners have founded a new Tango school called Fabrica Tango Academy. My son is now 5 years old, and he's wonderful, needless to say, of course, like all of our kids. And I am a parent. We also have shared custody with my son's dad, which some may say is beneficial for Tango. I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit later on. I think that's about it.
Thank you so much, Masha. And we have Timmy, who is the newest mom, though she's an experienced mom. I'll have her go next.
Hey everyone. Yep, I'm Tima from Budapest. Most of you might know me based on Pálinka Tango Festival or Noches de Hungría or Dias de Hungría. That's the 3 events we are organizing at the moment. I met my husband in Tango. Now we have 2 daughters. That's why I'm an old and a new mom as well. Our bigger one is 6 years old. She just started school, and the small one was born in 3 weeks. So I'm just breastfeeding at the moment because she just woke up. So I'm leaving this period again, what we had a few years ago. We used to have a school and a Tango club when we started our first daughter. It was like I was wondering how was the life before that, but I don't remember now. That's a bit of funny. So I think that's for the start what you need to know about us. I can show you our small one. She is here. Say hello.
In true mom style, you are multitasking.
Yeah, of course.
And being a like superhero. Thank you so much, Jimmy. And last but not least, we have Georgina. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Christina, for having us. I'm Georgina from Belgrade. I am a mom of almost 2 years old boy. My partner, Boris, is an Argentinian tango teacher. I mean, he's from Buenos Aires, living in Belgrade. I have been working as a part of Tango crew, as a part of organizing Tango crew of Belgrade Tango Encuentro and New Year's Marathon and Tango Weekends and Bratislava Tango Festival and whatnot, Tango Natural crew. Also, I'm an international and local tango DJ. And sometimes I teach with my partner. I have also an academic, thank God, a flexible job, plus a job as a mom. That's it.
Thank you so much. So, you know, yesterday when we talked, there's so many, one of the things that was so interesting to discuss and unpack is, you know, based on, you know, family structure, based on the dynamics of the kind of role you're playing inside of Tango, if you are a local teacher versus a traveling teacher, if your partner is your dance partner and also, you know, your life partner, all of these dynamics really make up what happens inside of Tango and as it relates to you being a mom. And I would love to explore some of these interesting things that have happened with all of these individuals and the complexities and sometimes maybe the certain benefits that people get from one, either being able to have your family all together, or in the opposite, maybe being able to have being co-parents where you're the partner, your child's partner, your child's father isn't always, you know, they're not always, you're not always sharing the same time and space. So I'd love to start actually with with Daniela, because in her instance, her and her partner are life partners and tango teachers, and they're traveling tango teachers. And I remember seeing all of these pictures of your daughter literally on the shoulders of your partner, or in a baby carrier while you're teaching or while you're at a milonga. And Daniela, you were saying how rich that experience was, even if there was moments of travel that were challenging. And as maybe she grew up, they became different challenges. So I'd love to hear some of that viewpoint from you.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, yes, we are traveling, a traveling couple. Until before the lockdown, we were traveling 4 to 6 months out of the year with our daughter, since she was 9 weeks old. And yes, it's an experience that was incredibly rich. With meeting all of the people, introducing her to different cultures. I'll just give you one quick example. We are not religious, so we didn't talk to her about religions, and her first experience to religion was when we visited Jerusalem. So you're right there at the wall, and she's asking about what are these people doing, and we're explaining to her, and then we see a mosque, and then we go to the church. And so it is just one simple example that I think that pretty much illustrates the richness of this lifestyle. It's as brutal as it is rich. That's the other side, right? I guess also that the brutality of it varies with the age of the child. When she was a baby and we traveled for 4 months from age 9 weeks to 6 months, that was absolutely amazing and incredible experience, just wonderful. We had permanent support. Our family was together all the time. When she became older and was a toddler and he had all of the tantrums, then it was extremely challenging. You're not always in supportive situations. I had the experience of having a child who is, still small, a year or something, screaming, and then organizing, screaming at me at the same time. Intense. It's intense. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would want it to be a little bit less. We were talking before the whole pandemic started and everything came to a halt. You're talking about bringing the travel down to 3 months a year, because I think that would be a good compromise in our case, a good balance between time at home and roots and the exposure to the world. But I love it. I think it's an amazing opportunity to raise my child like this.
I love that you said that, and I love that also you didn't go into it with kind of like a romanticized view of it. It certainly has its own hardships, but you have to really want to keep the family unit together and believe that those challenges are worth it in the end, because she gets to have this incredible experience. I think Georgina was mentioning, that the gifts that are happening is that they get exposed to different cultures and different people, and they become a lot more easygoing inside of crowds and with adults. And those are social skills and incredible skills to have, in the future. I'd love to talk, more about that in a few minutes, but I'd love also to hear, from another traveling teacher's perspective, Mila, who, you work, you travel a lot, and you leave your child behind because it's safer for him, and you have a co-parenting structure that works. So I'd love for people to hear what that's like for you, both the positive and maybe the challenging parts of that.
Background first, how it happened in the beginning when we were still kind of trying to live together with his father. We had the scandals when I was going out for 2 hours once a week while my baby was sleeping, and his father was kind of upset. He said that I'm behaving as a single woman and he has to babysit his own son who is sleeping. And so it didn't work also because of that. And I kind of suspect that such kind of things happen in some families too when the man is not a tango dancer. So at the end, what he has him 1/3 of the time, and like, and now I can work and dance because also I have to. And situation, as I said in Salerno, that I cannot work much locally, even though I found some ways as well that I'll talk about later. But I'm a little bit constrained to travel. And the hard part is that my schedule with another parent is that my travel time is only from like Friday after school until Sunday evening. Sometimes if I organize and I ask and, you know, and we're both flexible and in a good mood, it would be like until Monday after school. So in these 2.5 days, I have to go somewhere, teach enough, make enough money, come back. And this is only twice a month. So basically in 4 days, I have to work for the whole month of my life, you know, and rent and stuff. And yes, of course, it's challenging both with the, because it's stressful. You're always like kind of have to plan things ahead, but at the same time, you cannot plan things ahead. And with my kid, you know, for example, with his health troubles, if things fall through, if he gets sick, if we have to go to the hospital, if my other parents suddenly decides that he can't make it or things like that, then I'm fucked up, you know. So it's every time a little bit. So for me, kind of like the lockdown was a little bit of the time, the relaxed time to breathe out and not have to run anywhere. Also because of this dynamic, my work preferences and choice, like how do I work? My business model is a little bit different. One thing that I work alone because it's more sustainable and I have to organize just for myself. I don't have to organize for also a guy, which sometimes happens in the couple when you're not really together as a romantic couple. It's very often that the woman kind of organizes for both, unfortunately. So I'm fine for just organizing for myself. And also that is why I prefer to go to the same place where I have sort of like a semi-home base in several places around that I can easily fly to for not like too expensive, which is for now it's Zurich, München, a little bit starting to be like Israel, Moscow, maybe less because it's further, Turin and Bologna in Italy. So I go back because I have already my students waiting for me and I don't really have a possibility to go to a new place and already have it all on the plate there. And for organizers, for example, it would be easier with organizers that somebody would arrange for me. But as I'm a single teacher, I'm not like, you know, the super mega famous. So it's not that easy to sell. Plus, I don't do shows. I don't have a partner. So it's like kind of, I prefer to rely on myself and organize for myself in this way that I'm doing. So did I say everything that you wanted me to talk about?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects of that story, which is like really being able to think creatively around what your career looks like and what, you know, being that attentive mom looks like. And you, by all accounts, you're the majority caretaker, and yet you're still finding this space inside to be able to work extremely hard under a short amount of time. And I feel like that's just so indicative of like every motherhood story where you're trying to manage both of these things. You have to be a mother, but there are moments where you have to make your living and make an income, and you have to think with that hat as well. And it's just something that's incredible that mothers get to do. And it sounds, you know, it's also similar, I think, with Masha, where she had a similar challenge where as I think with pregnancy and right after she gave birth, there was a challenge of her needing to figure out her schedule. And I'd love for Masha to sort of speak to that dynamic as well.
You're right, Christina. I found that having like a less formal, you know, relationship made negotiations about my going out and teaching and organizing much more difficult in a way, because it's all very up in the air, depends on the mood of the person that particular day. You know, it depends on your mood, how good of a negotiator you're being that particular day. And then these days, you know, I don't have to negotiate because I have a set arrangement that's not changing, that's the same week after week. And I know that, you know, pre-COVID, I've been teaching 2 or 3 nights a week, and I just know that I can go out, teach, come back, relax, and then be with my son the next day. So I found that a formal nature of a co-parenting structure was really working well for me and my tango.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that actually kind of makes me think of what we were talking about yesterday with Georgina, where she was talking about this sort of self-care model. And I'm empathizing or empathy guessing that moms sometimes have a hard time just saying no because they feel like they always have to be, you're like a mom 24 hours a day, but actively choosing, like Tamasha said, like setting a schedule of like, these are the days where I'm taking the time. Maybe it's for work or maybe it's for pleasure, but like I have to delineate time. We can't just leave it to our feelings or our emotions, that like, I'm going to create a space where I get to be a tango professional or I get to have this tango experience. And, I'd love for, Georgina to sort of weigh in on that, where she was saying if she doesn't fill that cup, whether it's maybe being a DJ or maybe just taking a night off, that everyone kind of around her suffers. So what that looks like around really creating that space.
Well, it's tricky with, I guess, with everything that from hobby and passion becomes your work or part-time work, or a source of income and so on. It's tricky to understand up to which point it's work and your responsibility that you are in your new life of a mother willing or to take, or it's necessary to take, and from which point it's the space for self-care that you are obliged to yourself, to your inner child, if you wish, to take that space for you. So as with everything else in life, I think this tango, which is for all of us, I believe, passion and profession, it has it has a little bit of both, and it has both beneficial and both challenging sides. And yeah, for me, for example, the DJing experiences that I've had so far, pretty much internationally, with planes involved and so on, pretty much every month, at least once per month, during the first year of the baby. That was really such a challenging time, and at the same time so enriching and so empowering experiences, because these situations in which I found myself, that I would breastfeed between tandas, or have my baby sleeping in a corner of milonga, and I would not feel comfortable with it. I would feel my hormones working while I am working on the DJ set and kind of responsible for the mood of, hundreds of people. But at the same time, I felt every time I felt like I validated myself. I did something for myself, to feel good, and to feel not left out, not left behind. At least that was my fear, my biggest fear of becoming a mother in tango, that I would stay behind. So no fucking chance.
That's yeah. That's a great point. I think that is one of the things, like you become a mother, you spend some time away from tango, and then when you kind of reemerge, you're like, who am I now inside of tango? Do people want to dance with me? Did I feel like I missed because tango has this kind of energy that if you're not actively participating all of the time, you feel like you've like missed the boat. And I mean, I feel that way too. And I'm not a mother. So there's this constant need to feel like you're always visible. And
when you're a professional, people forget you exist, and you come back. It's like, who is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And does anybody else want to speak to that experience of kind of reemerging into the tango space and what
I was out for 3 years, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I didn't realize you were out for 3 years. I didn't.
2 years, maybe 2 years.
Mm.
And 1 year I couldn't work at all because of all the situation with courts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then 1 year, like, with all these like schedules, so it was much less. But let somebody else speak.
Yeah, Timmy, do you have a chance to speak to that, or is this something that you felt?
I'm just trying to make my microphone working. So I think I skipped only 1 year after giving birth. Of course, I had fear. However, I didn't know what I'm feeling of. And we start traveling quite early. I mean, it was not so early then with Georgina with this nine weeks, but I think our first marathon after giving birth, it was less than half a year. So we were bringing her, we were dancing like changing shifts in every 1 hour, and she was sleeping in the car. So it was quite organized, and it was a bit funny, but yeah, when she's still small, it's easier to travel, it's easier to take care of things. When they start walking and running at the same time, it becomes a bit more tricky or more challenging.
And then school.
But as a mother, of course I had my challenge. Yeah, that's a different one. And of course I had my challenge. I think it's not related to Tango. It's more related to your motherhood, or your point of view, how you feel in your life in general. You need to go back to your regular life as well. If you are not dancing Tango, it's also can be a challenge, or you need to make an effort to do things again, to go out. What we are lucky with is that we have a really supporting family. The two grandmas are really active, and they are taking care a lot of her. So
I hate you.
that gave me a lot of opportunity to I know a lot of people hate me because of that, but it was still an effort to go back. I can say you. So yeah, it's totally worth it. I mean, sooner or later you realize you need your own life, you need to do something for yourself, otherwise you go mad and you kill everybody around you. So it's a must to have something like that, something like Tango in your life, to just to have your mommy weekends off for minutes or whatsoever. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah. So So I was the one that went back at 9 weeks when my daughter was 9 weeks old. But I have to make a distinction between continuing my Tango career, which I did, and I was active throughout, right? Never stopped, basically. But the pleasure of dancing socially and doing it for yourself. And then on that side of things, I do feel that I fell off the boat and I haven't gotten back on. It's just something that I felt that, at least in the way that I lived Tango, it is something that required that intensive, constant participation to feel in the loop, and I just can't do that. And then there was another thing that kind of is interesting to me, right? Because sometimes I think that for many people, the ideal situation is where you find your partner in Tango and you have that love story and you're sharing it with them. But then you're talking here about the different needs that people have for self-care and for delineating spaces for themselves. And I found that for me, I really found my self-care when I went back to my finance job. I have my 20 hours a week that are just for me. It's my time for me. That's my self-care. I had to go find it outside of Tango. That's my quality time for myself. I'm with myself. I'm thinking thoughts that are interesting, and I'm not taking care of other people's needs. So it's kind of, the reality of the Tango love story is different from the fantasy.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so true, right? I mean, I think you've been in Tango long enough that you're like, that Tango love story doesn't really exist, but I get what you're saying, because Tango can, especially when you're teaching, it can take a lot out of you. So when you feel like if I have to source from Tango, and how it's always in this same loop. It feels like you're not bringing any other valuable things into your life. So I appreciate wanting to have your own separate thing that is separate from your family or your students or your partner. Makes a lot of sense. Masha, you were saying that, after you came back from Tango, you felt yourself as a different person. Like you felt you grew in quality, like these really nice qualities of patience, and you became a much more of a, you said you became a more compassionate teacher. I'd love for you to speak to that.
Well, at least I'd like to think so. So my baby, when Simon was born, he was really just not an easy baby. He was not like one of those picture perfect babies and you just kind of put them down and they play for hours and they make cute sounds. As soon as he was like a toy. When you put him down, he starts yelling at you. So I basically spent there was no talk of daycare. No daycare would probably take him. So I just spent the first year taking care of him constantly, 24/7, waking up every 2 hours. You can imagine. And then afterwards, when I had the pleasure to go back to work and when I had the pleasure to go back to teaching, I also have a 9-to-5 job in addition to Tango. I just found that nothing fazed me anymore. There was nothing that my clients could do that really annoy me, possibly, because nothing compared to the demands of a 1-month-old or 2-month-old. And I just noticed that I became a very compassionate teacher because I just had infinite patience. Because anything I did was just so much easier than motherhood. So that's my experience with that.
And how did you feel like going back to dancing?
I'm sure everybody
from a social perspective. What was it like from a social perspective going out dancing again?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't go out. Sure. I always knew that I couldn't stay out for long periods of time. So I always felt like I had to make my experience on a social dance floor count. So, however, I kind of found the same qualities seep through into my social dancing as well. I think I became much more giving as a dancer. So just giving, patient, warm, perhaps. Yeah. And I really treasured my time, like Georgina said, like this was my kind of filling the mic up while I was out socially dancing, even if it was like 1 or 2 hours a week.
Beautifully said. Mila, you had your hand up?
Yes, I kind of related a lot to what Masha said about how she changed after she became a mother and how this new attitude you have to everything in life, but also to people and to more empathy and compassion, because to me it was like a huge change. Before I became a mother, I think I was famous for kind of my bitchiness. And now it's like completely, I don't know where it's gone sort of after that, because of that. Also because of the hard things that you had to go over in life and survive. Also, it makes you a completely different person. It's kind of like from the princess, you turn into like a woman who is really seeing her child in every other people in the around, in a sense, like you see a child in everybody and you relate in the same way as to your child.
That's so beautiful. Go ahead, Danielle, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna give people a different perspective, because I think that except for those first few months where you have like all of this oxytocin, you have the hormones and everybody you see, you can imagine as a baby and you love everyone, you're the mother of the world. But after that, I think that motherhood really helped me get more in touch with the misanthrope in me. Like I was like stretched so thin that all of those layers of niceness that I had are just kind of stripped. Like I think in my case, it made me a worse person, and I do have less
Maybe
tolerance
you were too
for
good
bullshit.
before. You just
Sorry.
finally came to like normal.
Good, nice, too nice, like women socialize to be nice all the time. I think I was always very nice. I think even in tango, I get more bored now, whereas before I really found the best in each dancer, and now I get more bored, and I feel that if I do go out and I only have that one time and I trading sleep for the milonga, it had better be worth it, and I'm more selfish that
Sure,
way.
sure. I think I like what you
I'm not a
said.
better person.
I like maybe, you know, maybe one of the things that happens is it takes the people pleaser out of you. Maybe you get just more real, you know, and that the generosity comes from a real place, or the loving people comes from like a love, a place that doesn't need like the reciprocity. Like you have that capacity, but you don't have the capacity for anything inauthentic anymore. So that I could empathy guess with that. Georgina, I would love you. You were saying something similar to this yesterday, where you felt like the experience from before to after was so vast inside of you that you're like you became a woman after you had a child. And speaking about that from a Latin culture, being a mother is like a very sexy and beautiful thing, and that was aligned with how you were feeling. So I'd love for you to speak to some of those things that you spoke of yesterday.
Yeah, so huge change for social dancing for me from both inner and the outer perspective. From inner perspective, I guess I relate to something that Mila said. Like I was just so busy with tango related work and with just buzzing around the city all the time, and I would just come to Milonga to dance with those that I choose, and it was like I was not really interested in people enough. And this is where I changed a lot as a person through motherhood, that now I take more time, even though I relate to Daniela that I'm not really patient with any kind of shit except for my kids' shit, and still I'm not patient. But I am more interested in connecting to people in general, not just the leaders that would invite me. And then also there is this a womanhood, femininity side that we were already discussing a little bit, that we all agreed, I think, that motherhood brought us more, I think, uh, more essential femininity, more natural femininity from our bellies, and not from the outside perfect shapes and so on. So I felt, even though we could say that I was dancing effectively much less in the first year, and maybe not even with the same quality in the postpartum period for sure, but the connection part, the connection level of the dancing, of the social dancing, was I believe with so much more quality. And I guess this is a good moment to say thanks to all the partners who were there for me when I needed it.
That's beautiful.
Can I add one like little thing? I think
Sure.
the change in the perception of yourself as a woman, like what I feel now, I don't have to depend on validation anymore, neither from dancers nor from men, like for my womanhood, for my attractiveness, for me feeling myself. Like before, it was this insecurity of like always be validated, always like, does this like me, or am I enough this or enough that? After you become a mother, it's like kind of you have your own validation already. It's like now you choose who you want to be with as a dancer or as a man.
That's
Well,
beautiful.
professionals who deal with natural birth, with non-medicated birth, and so on, claim that the birth itself, giving birth, is not only a spiritual act, but also a very sensual, very sexual experience. And I would say that it's kind of initiation to a completely different level of the sensual experiences to come. I think this is like really good advertisement for
Yeah,
getting
Christina,
pregnant.
get the baby. Come on.
don't sell me on that.
With
It's
a
marketing.
friend,
That's
with
just like
a friend,
marketing.
with a person you can trust, just in case.
That's an incredible experience. It makes me think, and to me, since you're not indisposed anymore, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Especially, we could either talk about pregnancy and how maybe people react to seeing a woman that's visibly pregnant. And did you feel any changes in how you were perceived? Or did you feel any changes after you became a mother, how you were perceived? Because when we were talking yesterday, you know, there's many reasons to dance with people, but one reason is that some, you know, for some men is that whether or not they can actually sleep with you, just the act that maybe they enjoy you or they like you, is part of that reason why they would dance with you. And if they see you as a pregnant woman or they see you as a mother now, is that draw still there?
It's two totally different role. I mean, when you became a visibly pregnant someone, I cannot say it doesn't change anything, of course. I think my last marathon was around the end of my seventh month with my previous daughter. It was like more than 6 years ago. And that was the time when I felt that, wow, I'm invisible. I just doesn't exist. And while checking the photos of me, now I could imagine it was a bit scary for some guys. Even the size of me, it was like at least doubled. So yeah, of course, towards pregnant women, I think everybody has its own perspective of how they see a pregnant woman, if they want to dance with her or not. I had some really nice dances during my pregnancy, and all the guys were like, wow, it's so different to like dancing with the two heartbeats. It can add something really special into it. But of course, as a pregnant woman, your intention, it's totally different. You are more inside of you. It's different for you as well, not only for the guys who are dancing with you. As a mother, it's like, let's say it's not written on my head that I'm a mother. People are usually surprised when I'm telling them that I have a girl of that age. That feels a bit nice to have those kind of compliments. I think the best compliment I get when somebody said, "But come on, you doesn't look like a mother." Oh, whoa. And I ask why, how mothers look like. It's of course you can think about your mother, but it's different. So that's a powerness what Georgina mentioned. It's totally there. And Mila, I can totally agree also with you that you are standing there and you know that you were already doing something much bigger than what's happening on the dance floor. I mean, you gave birth. It's something you can stand for it. You see, I have a baby. That's me who did it. You never really understand as a man what does it mean actually. So so what it came into my mind about traveling, that we have less options. I mean, less events to go, but those events are much more intense because of the limited time you have there. So especially how we're traveling with my husband, he's also dancing tango, he's organizing with me. Both of us have their regular job besides tango. So sometimes we are going together, bringing our daughter, leaving her here, or we are going separately. And and those events, when I have my mommy weekend off, like twice or three times per year, they are kind of special. They are like treatments. That's my time to enjoy, and it's just different from a perspective that if you can go like every second weekend, like if you are social dance if you are going for a social dance every second weekend, it's like just becoming part of your life. Like you are booking your flight tickets, you are going and coming back, blah blah blah. But if you have some special times to go out, it's, of course, it's about me. I put much more intensity in it. So that's different for me as a mother, definitely.
Mila, did you want to say something?
No, I just
Yeah.
wanted that it makes planning a little bit harder with all the marathon, like advanced, that you have to register, partner, buy tickets, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
When you're a mother and you don't have much, flexibility and everything, sometimes it gets tricky. But
Yeah,
then you really enjoy, like on Friday night, you're just remembering how to dance, and then
Yeah, I remember yesterday some of you were saying, of course it could be preferable if you could be somewhere alone, right? Where the child was not in your vicinity and you can really just relax into what you were doing. But the other thing is that having events that recognize that parents are attending these events, and some sort of childcare or organized way of having babysitters or other people watch the kids. And Masha, you were speaking to that when we were chatting individually, that we're just even thinking about collaborating with other parents or other mothers could go a long way in helping them still feel like they belong inside of Tango. And Tango belongs to everybody, but it certainly it's certainly like a single person's game, because it's late night, it's social, it's drinking, it's partying, it's fucking, it's all this stuff. Like, these are all the things around Tango. But it would be, but there's so many parents now inside of Tango, like, that really taking a concerted effort. It could be really wonderful for everyone in the community.
Well, first of all, Christine, I think your tango sounds much more fun than my tango.
I'm not saying it's what I'm doing,
but I want to join that club. Anyway, I just wanted to, when we spoke yesterday, just a huge shout out to events like San Francisco Tango Marathon, where they had like a kids corner, like kids of all ages would be dropped off there and they would, play and socialize together. I know crazy things happening before COVID. I mean, unthinkable now, of course. But, parents would take turns watching them, and then you can sneak in a few tandas on the dance floor. Or Ramu organizing a DC New Year's Tango Marathon. They had like a little magic show during one of the daytime milongas, and just stuff geared for kids, so a kid doesn't feel like they just have to comply and be on a tablet, and headphones the whole time. Something that's fun for them, something that's interactive, just feeling like they belong in this event and on this dance floor. And then my son was much more receptive to seeing me dance, and even said something nice about my dancing, which doesn't happen very often. He's a harsh critic. But
he's like, you were pointing your toes. You didn't point your toes there.
Like, that embellishment was way off music. Or collaborating with each other, as mothers. As we get children who are the same age, we've been, collaborating much more. Like, you babysit my kid while I organize these guest instructors in DC, or vice versa, that I'll return the favor. I think this just goes such a long way, and then our kids get to make more friends.
Right.
And then later in therapy, they will talk about this.
No, it's true. And Danielle, I'd love for you to speak to more of this, but it's like, if we can have our kids join us in milongas and they feel it's also a social event, that's just a double benefit. So yeah, Danny, please continue.
Yeah, I just want to give another shout out to an event that we participated in a few years ago that I thought was just amazing for kids. It was Tango. The time we went, which was actually 7 years ago, there were, 160 adults and 80 kids. And I think for parents, it was just fantastic. We were not parents at the time. In fact, we made Francesca there, but so you can take advantage of it at the time. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge yet another event and another other event organizers that are doing a great job, I think, for families. Just that.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Timmy.
I think more organizers have their own children. They will recognize that that it's a need for it, just like us. So it's and it's also important for the kid because we have this idea in our head that either she will hate tango or love it, and it depends if you are if she sees tango as something keeping away their parents or they just part of it. And if they can be there, I mean, it's not something that brings your parents for a weekend off, but it's something fun where we are traveling together and we are having fun together. And if there is somebody to entertain them, then maybe parents also can have some fun together. Then it's gonna work better. And I think it's a cultural approach where there is a, like in Italy, if there's part of the culture to have children around you while you are doing something, where you are going out for a late dinner or something, then it's much easier for the parents and for the kids as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's so common in Latin cultures, is to have your kids included in a lot of some of the social aspects of your life. Georgina, you had your hand up.
I really agree with what Timmy just said. Thinking of kids because I hear non-parents to not understand why kids are there at the milonga, and they are not always happy with the kids' presence. And I think it's very important that we go deeper into this topic and spread awareness that this is that tango life is a culture, and that we should think, if we want together as a community, if we think that we are community, that we should discuss this building of a community that has kids around. And I think I never felt it so strong as on one occasion in Berlin, when my kid was so welcomed. It was a very alternative, hippie festival, and my kid was super welcome. It was right after the biggest festival in Porridge, where I felt like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is just for hot, sexy people who live single life. And then straight after, we went to Berlin, and everyone was taking care of my kid just supernaturally. I didn't think I mean, I didn't have this fear anyways, but it helped me develop myself as a more trusting person, because everyone was just taking my baby around. Everyone was aunt and uncle. And when I saw some Indian people talking to my kids in their own language, not in German or English, this was so beautiful, because I realized kids have this capacity to make us so true and so honest, that we start speaking in the mother tongue. And they were speaking their language that I never heard before, and it sounded like they are that is a sage from a fairy tale, spreading his own culture and his own culture wisdom to my child. And I said, this is what I want for my kid, to live in this multicultural environment. But it's up to us as a community to build that environment more parents friendly, not just kids friendly.
So true. I think the inclusivity that we're talking about now, when we've had some of these conversations, expands into, what does it mean to allow people with parents to feel welcome? What does it mean to have children around? Like, could tango be something even more beautiful kids felt like this was a part of their playground too. Mila, you wanted to say something? You have to unmute, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot really travel with my kid for two reasons. One, is his dad was not allowing him out of the country. Well, second, more valid reason is because he needs a whole lot of medical equipment to carry around. So, I mean, but for example, local milongas, when they are in the afternoon, that would be like really, really nice for parents. To make the hours, not only because you can bring kids, but also for the parents' sake. You know, when you are used to go to sleep at 10 or now 11 because you have to wake up at 6 or 7, you're not thinking of dance until like 2 or 3 anymore. Same at, well, marathons are not created for parents for sure. But for example, even marathons, when you have the evening milonga with this huge break starting at 11 or 12, you're like, fuck, I'd better dance like non-stop and go to bed at 3 o'clock. Or if not, you know, sleep first and then come at 3 o'clock, something like that.
Right, yeah. Daniela, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to what Georgina said about non-parents not being tolerant to children being at events. Just to say, I think that just to be fair, I think it's not just non-parents. I've heard that same sentiment from parents too, from parents who say, you know, I took the trouble, I got the babysitter, and I want my child-free night, and having children here just ruins the mood for me. So I think it's a bigger discussion, and also there are these competing interests. They're not really just about parent or non-parent, but about, you know, what we expect out of a night at the milonga, and you know, and there are different things that people expect, and maybe we need to have different events that cater to those different needs.
Exactly.
Just not to make it us against them.
Sure, yeah. And I think it was Timmy that said, you know, it's true. Like I wouldn't, my first instinct would not to be to think about how could I make an event more inclusive for parents, because I'm not a parent myself. And when you become one, then you see the glaring space of how they're not feeling welcoming. When Georgina, you were saying you just didn't even feel like you could find a place to set your child down for a moment, like just a clean space that was like barricaded. You know, even like these small things that we can do to help parents feel like they can come and join in. And I guess, you know, one of the last, well, I guess you know, one of this around support, you know, I guess we can talk about that. For support from the Tango family is something, and also, you know, having that support from, you know, the people around you. One of the things that is interesting about Tango, and I witness, and I think some of you would agree to this, is that you often have a partner that maybe is not from your culture or from your country, and you end up settling down with them, and maybe you settle down in another part of the world with them, which means that you've lost that sense of who can help you raise this child. And just speaking about that, it takes a village. Oftentimes it can be, you can feel displaced inside of having a child, not only just in Tango, but just in your culture. I know, Mila, you're a prime example of that. You know, Masha, you're from somewhere else, but I think your family is closed. You know, Daniela, you're from Brazil, and you have an Argentine partner. I think he's Argentine, right? So there's this
Argentine, but our family is all they're all far from us. You're also without family,
right? So there's just like this nature of like being transient in where you're living and how you're growing a family. That's also challenging to the hardship.
It's not even about only, you know, the lack of support from the family in the house. Like when you have a grandma and you can be more free to go and to work and to have some help. It's also about the culture. When you're living with your kid in the foreign culture, and your kid is still half Russian, you know, but he doesn't have kids to play that speak Russian so much. He doesn't have access to his other mother or father culture. It's different, completely different mentality here. For example, for kids don't come to other kids' houses to play. People only, you know, send, you know, if it's a party or birthday party or at the park, yes, there they play together. but they don't visit, they don't have play dates at home. For me, it was like, weird, really like crazy. Why not? Because, and for them, no, it's only family. And if I don't have family here, then my kid is kind of like many times isolated, which is really, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this idea that we need to kind of expand what our family looks like and to include our Tango family and have them feel like they're included into our lives, I think is kind of really critical, especially if we want to feel like that people have kids and then leave Tango, right? Like if we want to feel like people can kind of come back into Tango and feel welcome, that means some kind of support is needed at a real level. And what can we do, to do that inside of a milonga or outside of it? So does anybody want to speak more to that or their experience around that? Go ahead, Georgina, sorry.
So maybe just shortly, a few practical things. There is now on Facebook this Tango Parents group where we can all discuss issues. Like, for example, someone would ask, okay, I'm starting to go to milongas, but I don't know if the noise will make harm to my baby and so on. So we can discuss anything there. And then the Tango Network, the International Tango Network is good for finding trusted babysitters in different cities, which is what I had really great experience. I would just come somewhere, meet a babysitter, give the baby to the babysitter and go. And of course there is a reason to fear, but because you already have a trust because someone recommended that person, someone that you trust, then you feel it more as a new experience for your baby as well. So it helps mothers not to feel guilty while they are dancing or resting somewhere after the traveling on a marathon or something. You feel like my baby is actually having great time with someone new who is maybe making him laugh right now. So that can be that's part of this helpful tips, I believe. And definitely I would say the best thing is networking with other parents who have more experience or are on a field where you are coming and so on.
That's great. I didn't even realize that and I am so grateful that there are those kind of networks where people do feel like they're not just doing it alone and that there are other people that they could plan with and make their travel a lot easier. Does anybody want to speak to that? Because otherwise I want to wrap it up. I want to be conscious of time. Masha, yeah, go ahead.
Just a super helpful pro tip. Try to coordinate with your best friends to have babies at the same time, if at all possible. Then you'll be able to all babysit your kids. just have a quick, doodle poll. Make sure that you guys are on the same page, and then trade babysitting services.
Or just hang out with each other. Then you just have a reason to hang out all the time. That's great. Mila, go ahead.
Like one great idea that came up to me, and then that was my salvation. I just invited people to reside with me, like to have a 1 month or 2 month kind of like residency inside my house. And for that, we had kind of a barter. They helped me with the baby and I taught them tango. So it was one of the ways that I kind of like managed at some hard periods.
I think that's such an incredible creative idea, because also it's nice to have somebody around the house too, not just
exactly. It's not just work, it's also company.
How beautiful. Oh, well, ladies, I thank you so much for joining. I want to, there's so many aspects of this that I'd love to talk more about, but I want to be conscious of your time. And I'd love to have another conversation like this, because I think this is a really wonderful initiative, what we could all, when Tango comes back online again. that we can take some moments to figure out how we can support other people inside of Tango that have either a different experience or a more challenging experience than we do. So I'd love for everyone to take a moment if they have anything that they'd like to promote or any initiatives that they're doing. I'd love for you to spend a moment and tell the audience what you've got going on. So we'll start with Mila again.
Okay. So I have two things now going on. One is the online technical course that I already started in April, and I'm having every 2 months a new group of people, English speaking group and Russian speaking group separately. And that is like all the technique, starting from the very, very basic fundamentals. And so I invite people to join and PM me, and it's like right on the top of my Facebook page, the information. And the other thing is these Kaizen residencies that there are different types. The one type I spoke about is something different. It's like an exchange, but also I do the intensive week, kind of a transformation week. So I invite girls to come and spend 1 week in my house where we have very intensive tango study every day. The beach when it's the weather just right in front. Styling, shopping, girl time, all kind of tango and woman advice that I can give, and just like
and amazing food, right?
Together, yeah, so I'm always doing it. It's an ongoing project. So when somebody wants to come in and spend a week of study and other things with me, they write me a PM and we arrange for the week available. So this is my offer for the moment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mila. Danny?
Okay, yeah, so we are not teaching anything at the moment, and the borders are closed, so there are no Tango tourists coming to Buenos Aires. But when the borders do open and the milongas and everything, we have our Tango house here where I am right now, where we receive people from all over the world, and you can find the information on our website. We'd love to have you here, and when things are normal, we have our intensive trainings here as well as on tour. So yeah, that's it. I hope to see everyone once the madness is over.
Indeed. Thank you. Masha?
So right now we only have one offering, and it's a weekly Tuesday night, that's Eastern time, US Eastern time, Tango drills class, where we just drill technique. We do balance and technique exercises together. It's me and two of my Tango partners, Asia Fen and Gabrielle Gaumont. So that's, you can, if you want to find it, it's at fabricatango.com, and that's Fabrica with a C. We're looking forward to COVID being over, because we have so many good things planned, but everything in its time, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Timmy?
Yes, I'm here. Well, we don't have anything at the moment. I mean, all of our events has to be cancelled because of COVID. Hungary is closed as well at the moment, so just cross your fingers for next year, and we really hope that we can open again with our Dias de Hungría, with our Noches de Hungría, and with our festival in August with El Sabor. So Budapest hopefully is waiting for you from next year. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And Georgina?
Well, when it comes to tango classes, in Belgrade, we're gonna hopefully start teaching now weekly with my partner, and but for all of you worldwide, you can check Tango Natural page. They offer a lot of free material and technique classes and really interesting stuff to learn and enjoy. And when it comes to DJing, not much DJing right now, but I would still, even though I cannot promote anything, I would trade my time to just say thank you to all our organizers who trusted in me for the first year of my motherhood, when schedule is really kind of unpredictable. All the organizers, including Timmy here, who trusted that I can make it, because they helped me really know my strength. That would be all.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you, Mila, Danny, Masha, Timmy, and Georgina, for participating. I loved hearing your stories. And I thank everyone that watched, and I thank everyone that was excited about this, this talk. And I'd love to do more of this in the future, because I love hearing mothers' stories around Tango. I think they're all amazing, and want to keep promoting this feminine energy inside of Tango to thrive. So thank you, everyone that's watching. Best wishes, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.